in thought again of late, looking at some of the things that are going on. And it seems to me that there's a lot of emotional manipulation going on right now. And why do I say this? Well, if you look at the stuff on in Portland, Antifa, and then you look at things that went on with the Kavenaugh hearing, much of it seems to be emotionally based. You had people losing their minds because of the accusations. We had people feeding into emotions and actually supporting guilty until proven innocent. And then you have a bunch of Antifa in Portland right now upset with the present situation, the way things are run, President Trump and other things. Just out there blindly reacting to emotion. And I look at different things now as opposed to when I was a teen and a kid growing up, past years. And arguments today, at least from the left, are based upon emotion. They don't care to hear about statistics unless it supports their agenda. When you try to show them statistics that don't support their agenda, they shout people down like spoiled children throwing a temper tantrum. The left with the, different ones, who do we have? Two senators, one of them being Maxine Waters. And we also have Tim Kaine that are out there suggesting, uncivility. And then you have two other leading Democratic figures, Hillary Clinton and Eric Holder, that are backing it up. These are very prominent Democratic political members. I mean, Hillary ran for president. Failed, of course, but still out there quite a bit. I look at things and ask why. I look at how I grew up. I look at my experiences as a father, raising my three kids, and I look at the differences. You have a lot of involvement today where parents almost have to be afraid to be parents. It's so easy for a kid to make a phone call and totally turn a family upside down. Now, is that to say that there aren't kids that are abused? No, there are. But is it really the majority? It's kind of another situation where it kind of seems to be, guilty until proven innocent. So, where does all this come from? How did we get here? How did we get from a nation and a society, at least in my younger years, that, used their brains, some logic, looked for evidence, to this new thing that the younger generation is pushing that just seems completely alien to most of us older folks. And the one thing that I keep going back to that I can't escape is the one little bit of information that I've found in my near 20 years of digging into things. And that relates to the communist goals for America. When you know those and you look them up, and then you look around you if you got some age, a lot of things start to make sense. And you start to understand exactly how we are where we are today. Now, there's information out there that suggests that it is part of congressional record. But if you don't want to believe that one, then just look up a book called The Naked Communist. And Cleon Skousen, I believe, puts them right out there for you. They are there. So, along with my digging, I've also found various information that suggests that a lot of secondary college education centers have been packed with, they like to call themselves Democrats, but I don't think that's really the appropriate. Dig a little deeper, you'll run into social engineering, a very real thing. Different in supposedly intelligent, educated people trying to shape society. And then dig a little bit more, you might run into cultural Marxism, very socialist in nature. For those that don't know, basically, communists have looked towards world domination virtually since the idea became a thing. It was always their plan. It's always what they wanted. It's always what they worked for. And a lot of their more prominent members after World War II started to brainstorm as to why the World War did not bring communism worldwide. And they discovered some things in their debating and their brainstorming that they thought was at the root of why communism failed to take worldwide root. It's 45 of them. You've seen documentaries out there, like I said, that suggest that they basically took over schools. And if you look into it, you will actually find, you see here, what is it? Number 17. Get control of schools, use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum, get control of teachers' associations, put the party line in textbooks. That's definitely happened. Number 18. Gain control of all student newspapers. Number 19. And this would explain our riot issues and mob mentality. You know, the left, oh, they're just protesting. No. When you start blocking people's ability to live their lives, when you start destroying stuff, and you start rioting, that's not protest. Protest is a peaceful assembly. Look it up. But number 19 here is what they've been telling them. This is why you will see so many of these younger kids out there pulling this crap. 19. Use student riots to foment public protest against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. Now, remember, if you will, if you're aware of, socialism. Who was it? Stalin, I believe? And I might be misquoting here. But the big, one of the big communists said that the aims of socialism is communism. See, that's why you got these democratic socialists today. You look back in history, what was it? McCarthy, I don't remember the years off the top of my head at this point in time, but it was called the Red Scare. And he tried to warn people the number of communists that were involved in public office in places of power. And because of what they already had control of at that time, they made McCarthy look like a clown. Now you got all this going on today. He wasn't a clown. They just made him look like one. Just like the mainstream media right now does with various groups, trying to marginalize, illegitimize them. Okay? So, you have, let's see here. Look over my notes. Another one that goes along with those is number 42. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition, that students and special interest groups should rise up and use united force to solve economic, political, or social problems. Again, at the very root of it is violence. Force. This is why you see ANTIFA doing what it does. They talk about being anti-fascist, but they do the same kind of crap that the Cheka did in Russia, and some of the other groups involved in the Russian history after the Bolshevik Revolution. Now, going back to what I was saying earlier about the whole democratic socialist thing, number 15, capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. You see, most people have enough of a clue of an idea the horrors that communism brings. So, see, socialism was something to help people slide towards it. And now, with decades passing where that didn't quite work, now here you have democratic socialists. See, they keep on trying to pair things. They'll change the name, they'll pair it with something in order to get you to accept it. And we're not just talking about socialism or communism here. We're talking about a lot of other things as well. Okay? They're real good at making things appear like something that they're not, and making it appear like it's a good thing. You know, I'll give it to them. If all human beings were forthright, honest, and not capable of being corrupted, not abusing power, and they really, all of them were always in positions for the good of all, it would work. But see, this is a utopian world that does not exist, and it never will because of human nature. It just ain't going to happen. There's always going to be somebody that feels they're doing more than somebody else, and they're going to feel like I deserve more than somebody else. It's always going to be that way. You know, I work harder than so-and-so, or so-and-so is lazy. You get it? Human nature. The utopian world needed for these things does not exist and can never exist because of human nature. Just all there is to it. Always going to have good people and bad people. It is a conscious individual choice. So, you know, you're seeing a lot of stuff out there in media right now. Again, the left, liberal, they don't like the idea of people calling their protesters a mob. Well, again, I'm sorry, when you're out there injuring people and destroying things, burning things, that's mob. That's mob mentality. It doesn't matter whether, you know, there's some law enforcement agent that is in there that kicks it all off. Again, I've said this in another video. It's the fact that others join in. People are that pissed off and angry. And rightfully so, but they're pointing their fingers in the wrong direction. See? You know, everybody all kind of pissy about Trump wanting to get us out of the UN and different things. Well, number 11, promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. If its charter is rewritten, demand it be set up as a one world government with its own independent armed forces. Sounds like NWO to me. And that ain't the only tool. There's others. And as long as they maintain any semblance of power and control, even if the UN stuff is stopped, they'll just bring about something else later on. When it comes to the politics, like I said, we already have democratic socialists. We already have different Democrats coming out saying that, socialism is their platform. Well, capture number 15. Capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. They've definitely done that with the Democrats and the socialist agendas. Then, if you're not aware of Mockingbird Media, aka Project Mockingbird, you might want to dig into it. Because number 20 was infiltrate the press, get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy-making positions. And number 21, gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. Notice how a lot of the view from Hollywood is left-leaning, at least what you hear. You might be surprised that Sylvester Stallone come out the opposite. So is Kurt Russell. But you don't hear about that. They have. Of course, you know about good old Mr. Baldwin. That's one of the left ones. Liberal. Democrat. Stallone and Russell came out the opposite. You got Kanye West. He came out conservative right. What'd they do to him? Well, then you had Taylor Swift on the left. Other ones you ought to be well familiar with. Number 29. Discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate, old-fashioned, out of step with modern needs, a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis. Number 30. You should know this one too. Should have seen it in past years. Discredit the American Founding Fathers. Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. Then you got more education that pulls into those. 31. Belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the ground that it was only a minor part of the big picture. Give more emphasis to Russian history since the communists took over. What I find funny in that, though, is, again, the books seem to be a little bit skewed. They don't talk about the carnage and the death. 32 is another good one. Support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics. Trying to do that with healthcare. Other things as well. Child protective services. You'll look at things. One of the other things that they identified that kept communism from taking over was the family. Let's go back to 2 bits, though, before that. The college level indoctrination. 38, transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies, treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders, which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. 39, dominate the psychiatric profession. Use mental health laws as a means of gaining coercive control over those who oppose communist goals. And 42, create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition, that students and special interest groups, yeah, I think I already read that one. Sorry about that. So you have all that going on in order to manipulate people to do what they're doing today with the protesting, etc., and the violence, the use of force. Then you have the Democratic people that are basically supporting it. You have Kamala Harris, who is talking about assassination. Maxine Waters being uncivil. Hillary Clinton being uncivil. The most recent one going on about the Proud Boys and the way that they stomped some people. Well, when you're going to go ahead on the opposite side and you're going to get your people to go and take their Trump gear or whatever, thief, you're going to use force against somebody and they stomp your ass. You know, we can sit here and debate all day on whether or not it was, proper use of force. That isn't the point. They are poking a sleeping bear. And not a damn one of the ones on the left or Democrats in positions of power or left-leaning Hollywood celebrities seem to give a rat's ass about these people that they are stirring up to violence and their safety. I mean, it's obviously they don't give buck all about the conservatives on the right. They're the ones that, the other idiots promoting this stuff want to, hurt, maim. I mean, we've had senators shot lately because of this stupidity. And again, mentally unstable adults acting like children throwing temper tantrums. Another one, of course, that kind of fits in a little bit with what's going on now. It's an opportunity. I don't see the president going this way with it, but one of the 35 and the communist goals was discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. Now, at the moment, they're definitely discrediting it with the crap that's been done. The Democrat control of it, the lies for the FISA warrants, the way that England played into that. When that stuff declassifies, it's going to be a shocker for a lot of people. Because if you haven't read what you could have it so far, it already brings question into what's really going on. And there ain't nothing there to prove that Trump had any collusion whatsoever, but there's plenty there to prove that Hillary pulled some shit. And if you haven't even looked at it, and you're still one of the idiots saying about, Trump and Russian collusion, you need to get off your lazy ass and go read the stuff the way it's already been unredacted. But once that goes full unredacted, there's going to be some bombshells in there. And it ain't going to implicate Trump, but it is going to implicate a lot of Democrats. So, the other way that, like I said, the other thing that they thought prevented the rest of the world, especially here, America, falling to communism was family. So, part of that is through, one, tax on religion and morality. We'll do that. The LGBT stuff, Uh, use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. That's number 16. Uh, Number 24, eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. So we got these pride parades out there where they're doing all kinds of stuff out in public that just kids should not be seeing. I'm sorry. I mean, that'd be like regular straight ones going out there doing similar. And everybody have a fit about that. I mean, you're going to, basically act out partial, scantily clothed sexual acts in public. And nobody's saying anything about it. That's because of political correct. People afraid to say something because, being attacked because, oh, you can't. No. Sorry. If it'd be a straight couple out there pulling shit like that, people would be having a bird. Number 25, break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. Oh, gee, who controls motion pictures? A lot of that stuff comes from Hollywood, right? Number 26, present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, healthy. Yeah, just like they're trying to come out and say that pedophilia is natural now. Gee, it's always the little subtle slide. People start accepting this, so then, here, will they accept that? A lot of people keep falling for it, but it's been an attack on morality since like the 1940s, 1960s. And always, all of them, always, throughout the generations and the decades. If you're on the older end like me, you try and tell people about this and why things aren't working, or why things are getting worse, or why they're bad. Right away, you're that dinosaur that you're resistant to change. Well, hello, young know-it-alls. Maybe there's some things that shouldn't change. Maybe morality is one of them because it's something that society is based upon. And the further you weaken it, the worse society becomes. And you can see that. Look around a bit as you're growing up. And if you're older like me, you've already seen it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Then, of course, the religion side. Number 27, infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need a religious crutch. 28, eliminate prayer or any phase of religious expression in the schools on the ground that it violates the principle of separation of church and state. Well, we've already seen that one. Pledge in school is gone. Then they tried prayer. People bitched about that. So then it became a moment of silence. The biggest thing that the Pledge of Allegiance reminded young people and why they got rid of it under the pretenses is because I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, not to the democracy, to the republic, because that's what we were really created as. And they had to get rid of it because eventually, you saying that every morning for 12 years of your educational life, some probably going to click somewhere, and you're going to question that eventually. I know I did. So what do we have left here? The family bit. Discredit, number 40, discredit the family as an institution. Encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. That promiscuity seems to run through a couple of them, don't it? If you remember some of the other ones I read earlier. 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. Attribute prejudices, mental blocks of retarding of children to suppressive influence of parents. Now, if you remember, we talked about, what was that? Nope. Which one was it? Sorry. I'll get it here in a minute. Yeah. Weren't 38 and 39 about infiltrating and overwhelming the psychiatry positions? So, when you have a bunch of communists running amok, become leading peers writing papers, what happens? You get support for that I just said about where it comes to the family. Why? Because you have supposed professionals telling us that's the way it is. You see, one of the biggest things they did when it comes to things and then destroying the family is, for one, change what it is. Not man and woman anymore. Not just anyways. Okay? Now all of a sudden it's these other things. And then there's the whole gender fluidity thing that, they pushed. How else do you destroy family? Maybe confusing the hell out of the kids? I don't know about you, but I remember growing up, and it was hard enough growing up as a kid with what I had to face, let alone trying to have to decide whether I was really a boy. Why? Because again, they have blurred definition and terminology to where biology does, supposedly doesn't dictate. Sorry, but yeah, it does. And it always will. And people, because of political correct and other things, need to stop rolling over and letting these idiots get away with this stuff. Parents, you need to be more active in your kids' schooling. If you can, get a hold of the books that they want to teach them with. Find out what they're teaching your kids. See how different it is to what you were taught. I mean, there's only so much history can change, and it's not supposed to change from the old stuff that was already there. The only thing that should change is the new stuff that's happened since you got out of school. And look into Common Core and what that was and what that did. The infiltration runs deep. And there's so much of it that is manipulated by emotion. Fear. Fear culture. Anyways, just some things for you guys to think about and seriously dig into. Because you really ought to. Think about it.